Now y'all need to get ready for what happens next, because suddenly she gets a response from his sister. She says that he was hospitalized and he is now unconscious. And I'm like, bro, what the f in the K-drama is this right now?
I'm sorry, don't leave me, your love is gone.
What's up, idols? It's Cece Lesson 3. Welcome back to my channel. It has been a while. I am sorry. I took like 2 weeks off to spend time with my mom and we went to Jamaica, and now I'm trying to recalibrate. Also, I just finished my hair and I'm not sure how I feel about being this blonde in the front. I kind of might go like all blue and all purple. Let me know what y'all think. I don't think this blonde is for me. Anywho, I'm here to tell you guys a story time. This is a story my friend told me last winter, and this happened to her last winter. And after this... Oh no, we are not. Oh my god. Ladies and gentlemen, I apologize due to technical difficulties. Anyway, like I said, my friend told me this story last winter, and I'm very grateful that she's letting me tell this story, because even when she told me that story back then, I was like, girl, you need to make a YouTube channel. You need to talk about this because this is freaking ridiculous. I'm very grateful that she's letting me tell you guys this story, because I didn't believe it then, and y'all not gonna believe it now. The twists, the effort that this dude took to lie is just unbelievable. All this effort to get out of a relationship that he basically begged for. So short backstory, my friend is Jamaican. She's an English teacher in Japan. She's been there for, I want to say like 2 years now. She's got her prince now and they are the cutest, but she did have to go through some fuckboy frogs to get there. And one of the reasons I like to tell these stories is because a lot of people leave comments and tell me, you know, how much they really want to be with an Asian guy, and I feel like people put Asian men on a pedestal, and it makes me a little bit uncomfortable, I'm not gonna lie. Men are the same no matter where you go, no matter who they are, no matter what background they have, they're the same. There's some good and there's some bad, and that's another reason why we're both excited for you guys to hear this story. Just like she has her good one now, this is an example of a very bad one. She sent me the screenshots, she emailed me all the details, so let's jump right in, get your tea. Throughout the story, I'm going to be telling it in third person, but there are going to be some quotes that I want you guys to hear directly from her. So this is how it starts. Hey girls, so this is the story. It feels like unlocking a really weird memory because this whole situation was strange. Japan Tinder, it really is a different experience. I don't know what to title this, but maybe you can come up with a good one, because the twist in this is wild. This all happened over the span of roughly a month. Yes, only 1 month. Okay, I have to recalibrate a little bit. My mojos got thrown off because my ring light just broke in the middle of filming, and I don't feel so good right now because now I gotta get a new... Anyway, all right, I'm gonna start over. So this is a story my friend told me last winter. They matched on Tinder January 4th, 2022. So we're gonna just call him Weirdo because that's what she said. So let's just call him Weirdo, because we never use names. Don't want to out nobody, but if you know who you are, you know who you are. And she decided to try Tinder because, you know, when you're abroad, especially when you're in a country where you don't look like the locals and you don't speak the language of the locals fluently, it's just an easier way to gauge who you can and can't potentially talk to, or who may or may not be interested. Because, you know, you walking around in Korea or Japan and you don't speak the language, you can't just assume they speak English with you or they speak Spanish with you, you know? So it is easier online. I did find myself using dating apps more abroad than I did like in countries where we speak English. So yeah, I totally can understand that. It's easier to, you know, she's from Jamaica, I'm from the States. It would be easier in person to have someone approach you or to talk to them and approach them with a common culture, a common language, a common background. So they matched on Tinder and decided to switch the conversation to Line. And then she said, I usually would switch the conversation to Line if I thought the guy was cute and the conversation wasn't immediately asking me to move my hips on them. Yes, that was an actual comment I got once.
Boy, if you don't get...
And I hate to draw so many comparisons, but that reminds me of when I was on Hello Talk, and this guy said, hey, are you black girl? I was like, yes. And he said, oh, can you do the twerking dance? I really want to see the twerking. Bruh. Anyway, we have the screenshots and everything, and this is the one she wanted me to show you guys first, because she wanted you to see how quick they went from just meeting and getting to know each other to dropping in I love you. So here's their first exchange online. He says, hi, come from Tinder. I added, please get along well. She said, hi, what should I call you? He said, my name is Weirdo. I'm called Weirdo by everyone. What should I call you too? And I'm not going to say her name or show that. So the first conversation was at 1:42 a.m. And you know, when you get to know someone, you ask the same questions. Where are you from? How tall are you? What do you like in a guy? Things like that. So it was 8:45 p.m. when he first said, I want you to be my girlfriend and I love you. Same day. So we have Exhibit B here. I knew it for the first time. It's very interesting. She says, okay. He says, I want a girlfriend like you. She said, really? Why? He said, "You are very beautiful. Moreover, it is knowledgeable. It is a lot of fun to talk to you. I wanted to make such a woman a girlfriend. I'm not very good at English, but I wanted to learn with you." So then he asked her, like, "What do you like about me?" And she's like, "You seem okay so far, but we literally just met, so there's still time for this to go wrong. But for now, you seem fine." So they decided, well, he asked her if they wanted to do to go on a date for January 9th, because she was working like 6 days a week and only had one day off, and that was usually a Sunday. So it was Sunday, January 9th, where they went on their first date. So y'all remember they matched on January 4th, right? Well, now it is January 6th. Not that January 6th. So like I said, he randomly drops the "I love you," but he also takes it a step further by saying we should shower together. Wow. Naturally, she's like, the fuck are you talking about? And then he says, "Because you're my girlfriend." And she says she's been there a while, so she already knows how casually Japanese men like to drop the "I love you" into a random conversation. She said to talk to you for like 5 minutes and then say "I love you" in English, but they'll never say it in Japanese. Like, they're a lot more hesitant to say it in Japanese because in their native language, maybe it carries some more weight, but in English, it's not their language, so they can just toss it casually. I don't know, it's just a theory. And again, I don't want to but it's just, I relate so much. So I remember me and my friends were drinking and launching fireworks on the beach in Gangneung, and we were ready to go, but we had a lot of fireworks and alcohol left over, so we didn't want to just throw it away or leave it there. So we just looked around. I found a group of Koreans and I gave them, I said, "Oh, 선물," and I've been drinking, so I said 선물. It means like a present or a gift. And they go, "Oh wow, I love you," in English. And of course they were like, "Okay, boy, sorry, thank you," but yeah, just, it's casual to say "I love you" over there, weirdly enough. So anyway, they had their first call, and they actually did call and talk, text pretty consistently for the first few days. And she said the vibe was there. He was a really fun, funny, silly kind of guy, and she felt comfortable and happy talking with him. She said it was a good vibe. And then he said, and I have this written here, it's not in the screenshot, but he said, "Like God told me, my wife's family will need to come visit us in Japan."
I don't know what that means.
So yeah, they talked on the phone really consistently. The vibe was there, and he kept listing all these reasons why he liked her and why she should be his girlfriend. And then I hate because, and throughout her notes, because, she emailed me all of this, you can tell she's really hard on herself, and she's like, "Oh, I should have blocked him, and I don't want people judging me." Y'all, this is a safe space, a safe zone, no judge zone. Of course, hindsight is always 20/20. We all live and we learn, so please, no hate. It's a funny story, and she's okay with it now. It's been a year. She's got her prince. We're good. But throughout this whole time, she's like, "Girl, I know you're probably wondering why I didn't block him at this point." I'm like, "No, it's fine. Sometimes you just YOLO it. Just see where this goes, She said she was bored a lot, and I can definitely understand that because Japan was really strict with COVID and stuff, and lockdowns, and not really being able to mingle in bars and go out. And she doesn't live in Tokyo, she lives in a more rural side, so I can totally understand being bored and just wanting to talk to somebody. She said, and I quote, "Boredom will really have you entertaining shit you shouldn't even remotely be paying attention to." So then he decided randomly to tell her that they should be YouTubers together, which, a lot of the stuff he said was in a joking, silly way, so she's like, "Ha ha ha, you're so crazy," not really taking this too seriously. And she said besides the really random "I love yous" and "you should be my girlfriend," everything else was really fine. He was very funny and silly and teasing in his tone with her, and they talked often and consistently, and that's hard to find these days. So fast forward to January 9th, and they finally met up, and she said the vibe was there, everything was the same. He was still just as silly and funny, but making the comments like, "Oh, be my girlfriend, oh, I love you," in person too. So it was very much him. He didn't change in person versus how he was on text and on phone calls. She said, and I want to quote this, "At the time, I was working mostly 6 days a week, teaching and traveling long hours for work. One thing with Japan is you will be reminded of how single you are, and being a black woman in Japan, when you're constantly fetishized as a good time and only a good time, you know what we mean by good time. It can get lonely really fast. To be honest, I think I just enjoyed the constant conversation." And, I don't want to get too personal with her information, but I do know she was having a really hard time in Japan. Her employees were not taking care of her. She was overworked, and she wanted to just go back to Jamaica many, many times. I think she's doing a lot better now. I really hope so. She seems to be on the up and up. So hang in there, girl. Sarange. I just want y'all to understand as much as possible how she feels and put yourself in her shoes, empathize a little bit, and be like, "You know what? I totally get it, sis." But, however, she said the date was not perfect. So they went to Indian food, for the date, they decided, "Oh, let's go get some Indian food." That's what they ate for dinner. And they went to a mall because she said there was a really big mall in her area that she hadn't gone to yet, so she wanted to check it out. So then they get back in the car, and he randomly just squeezes her thigh.
Pull up skirt. Get in the right, left hand is steering, the other is gripping your thigh.
Don't.
Red flag. So naturally she's shocked, right? And then he goes, oh, your thighs are nice.
The fuck?
And again, she's speechless because at this point they had no like physical contact, no hug, handshake, hold hands or anything like that. Then he suddenly just grabs her thigh as soon as they get back in the car on date 1. So after that, they went to a park nearby, and I totally I love going for walks in the park, especially when the weather's nice. And she said the weather was pretty nice this day. So they went to a park, did some walking around. And once they were at the park, he started to ask her about her weight and like her size and everything, and said, I'm not typically attracted to people like you who look like you. And she's about 5'2", 56 kg, which is like 123, 124 pounds. And typically that's not what he goes for, apparently. So she said, then he went on this tangent, like, look, do you want to be my girlfriend or not? Same day. This is their first date meeting up in person. And she says she liked him too, but you know, it's only been date 1. And at this point it was a pretty surface level. Like, you know, so far the good outweighs the bad. She said he was funny and decent despite my own aversions to being a couple with someone so quickly. I went with this why not mentality. Basically YOLO. And then she said, don't do that. Like she literally typed out, don't do that.
Don't.
So here's the screenshot. He says, I'm happy. And then you get the cute line friends, BTS character emojis. And she says, me too. He says, I like you. You want to be my girlfriend. She said, I like you too. Yes, I want to be your girlfriend. Do you want me to be your girlfriend? He goes, yes. So keep in mind, he chased her. He pursued her. He wanted this. I can't emphasize that enough because of the efforts he goes to try and get out of this. So this is another thing I want to quote because she's been living and dating in Japan, so something a little knowledgeable for you guys. One thing she learned through this is that that's almost a norm in Japan. People will go on one date and then get into a relationship. It's really common, and that's always been very different for me because I'm used to going on multiple dates, or better yet, being friends with someone before dating. And her current boyfriend was also like a one date type of thing, but they knew each other a few days first, and now they're going on 5 months. So that's just Japan. If y'all hear the dogs barking, I'm sorry. This video's not going well. They're barking at everything. My ring light broke. Jesus. So then after the date, he drops her back off at her apartment, and they're a couple now, they're boyfriend, girlfriend. And he asked her if he said, I have a lot of work to do. Can I bring my stuff to your apartment and do my work here and then spend the night? First, she was like, yeah, you can do your work if you want here, but you're not spending the night. And then after a while, she just fully changed her mind and said, no, you're not coming over. Sorry. Too much too soon, you know? So time went by, they were still talking, you know, they would talk at night on the phone and then text during the day. She said he's been really busy with work. He said he was busy focused on trying to pass a test or something. So, you know, conversation tends to slow down. That's just the pattern, isn't it? So she said, cool, no problem. Things tend to feather out with Japanese men after a while. I learned this later, but within a week or two, they usually just disappear out of nowhere for a pretty long time and then resurface out of nowhere like they didn't just ghost you. Now, doesn't that sound familiar? So let's fast forward to February 4th, 2022, shall we? So this is where the shift happens. It is now Valentine's Day. And Japan is like Korea, where on Valentine's Day, the girls give the guys chocolates and gifts and stuff, and then the guys reciprocate on March 14th, which is called White Day. It's just funny because Korea and Japan have a lot of hostility towards each other, and they don't like each other, but they do a lot of shit that sound awful similar. So her plan was to give him some chocolates, you know, nothing casual like at the freaking local mart, but nothing like over the top and expensive because at this point they'd only known each other about a month. So then she goes, hi, I wanted to ask you a question. He says, okay. She said, what's your plans for Valentine's Day? And then she called him, and then she said, hi, have a good work week, because he just stopped responding. He left her on red. He didn't respond anymore. So she said she didn't hear from him at all this whole weekend. So then he responded and said, sorry, I haven't been responding or replying. I was just in a car accident. I'm sorry, I'm not laughing. Car accidents aren't funny, but this dude, okay, let's keep going. So then he sends pictures. I'm sorry, I had a traffic accident. She says, are you okay? He says, my neck hurts a lot. And then he finally replies, Valentine's Day, I have work. And sends pictures of what looks like a pretty minor car accident, you know, all things considered. So she said at this point, she kind of forgot all about Valentine's Day and that she had plans to give him chocolate and everything. She was just more concerned if he was going to be okay or not. So like she asked if he went to the hospital, if everything was okay. And she said how bad was the damage because all she can see is a few like dents and scratches. So she's asking like for the severity, some more details. And then she says, and I want to quote her here. Now here is where I should have taken the hint, but I made the excuse that he needed space or whatever because of the incident. I messaged him on the 8th saying, I hope he feels better. No answer. I sent and unsent a message on the 9th. Still no answer. Since he hadn't answered, I left it alone for now. Now I really should have just archived his chat and deleted him as a friend online and moved on. I wanted to see if he was okay, so I messaged on the 13th saying hi, and that message got read with no reply. I really should have left it alone, but I didn't. I cringe at myself for the next part. So now she's talking with two of her friends. She just calls them friend 1 and friend 2, so we're gonna stick with that. It's not gonna be overly complicated. Just friend 1, friend 2. And they're co-workers of hers. So she was keeping them up to date with what's going on, and she says she usually tells them about her Tinder dates and the guys she's been talking to and meeting in Japan. So on February 15th, and she says this date is important, so keep in mind, February 15th. So she said, I told friend 1 about the lack of communication and asked her if she thinks I should send one final message to see where we stood. She answered, yeah, why not? See if you get an answer. If you get no answer, that's your answer right there. Friend 2, she said she felt it worth noting that she was like in her 30s and a little bit older. Friend 1 was about 23. Friend 1 is the one who said, yeah, send him one final message. Friend 2 said, it's over. Don't waste any more energy on this dude. Just move on. So she agreed with friend 1. And the final message that she said was, hi, so have you broken up with me then? Or do you need your space? Let me know. And she said, again, she's like, oh my God, it's so cringe. And why did I say it? I'm like, girl, that's not that bad. It is totally fine. She could have blew up like, oh, you ghosted me, motherfucker. And she said that she didn't want to move on fully until she was sure that there was nothing there, that he had moved on. Because again, she's like, maybe he's just distant because of the accident. So I should give it some more time and just see where his head is at. That is a totally reasonable response to that. Now y'all need to get ready for what happens next, because suddenly she gets a response from his sister. She says that he was hospitalized and he is now unconscious. And I'm like, bro, what the fuck in the K-drama is this right now?
I'm sorry, don't leave me. Your love is gone.
So, you know, her initial response was to analyze everything, and she was a bit worried, like, oh my God, wait, a car accident? Because you don't immediately assume someone would lie about something like that to be unconscious. Like, who would take that extra step? Who would do that?
Expose him! Expose him!
So she said she was shaking, she was worrying, and she was just like feeling anxious and also a little bit guilty because she was thinking he was just being selfish and not wanting to talk to her anymore. And then this is in quotes. So I told her that I knew about the accident and didn't hear from him afterwards. So I was wondering if he was okay. I also knew he had an older sister because he had mentioned that he had an older sister and a younger sister. So then the sister tells her that, oh yeah, there's no one to take care of him in this prefecture, so we had to move him to a different prefecture closer to home, and he's unconscious, so we'll let you know if he wakes back up or when he wakes back up. And I love this because she said bombastic side eye. Everything not Irie man. Sorry, I just got back from Jamaica last week. So then, because she's smart and she's not a dummy, she noticed that some of the messages she had sent to him that didn't get a reply were read. So she's like, how is he reading my messages if he's unconscious? This is the sister's explanation. I opened the message but didn't reply because I didn't understand the relationship with you. However, I replied because I understood after seeing the message. It takes a long time for his recovery. If you are her, you don't have to wait for him. Like, I'll wait for you. 보고 싶다. So now, you know, the gears are turning in her head. She's like, okay, if he's unconscious or if he's been unconscious, she's trying to find out from the sister. So when exactly did he fall mysteriously unconscious? Because he told me about the accident after it happened, and then he suddenly would read my messages but not reply. So how long has he been in the hospital? Like, trying to find out, because the math isn't mathing. So when she asked when did he fall unconscious, the sister said, I also don't know the exact time when he lost consciousness. A colleague who wondered if he wouldn't come to work discovered, I will contact you as soon as his consciousness returns. So she's telling friend 1 and friend 2 what's happening in real time because they're all together now going to work. And she says something about like a work meeting that they had. So they were all together on the train and eating together. And another thing that's like worth noting, an important background, is she said that she's lost friends and people that she cares about to car accidents. So she's feeling really anxious and she's nervous and she's shaking and she's worrying a lot. So then friend 1 is with her. She's like, oh my God, like I hope he's okay. Oh my God. Friend 2 sipping her tea like, boo, he lying. This man is making this up. Do not believe him for a second. So then friend 2 is like, here's a question you can ask this sister to find out if she's actually lying or not, or if he's actually lying or not, whoever they are. What hospital is he at? Can I come visit? That is a simple question with a simple answer. You can say this hospital, yes or no. If they don't respond, that's your response. It's all a lie. So that's what she does. She decides to take the friend's advice and ask the sister, hey, what hospital is he at? Is he okay and I want to come visit? She got no response. She never heard from this person again. She never heard from the sister again.
He's a phantom.
And at this point, she says she's having like a panic attack because she's worrying, she's angry, she's anxious, like there's a lot of emotions that would be going through your head with something like this, right? Like, who says that they were in a car accident and they're unconscious and pretends to be the sister, and it's just like, not on a weekday, not a work day, bruh. So she said, at this point, I'm shaking on the point of a panic attack because it's now daunting on me that someone could be so cruel as to fake something awful happening to them so that if someone breaks it off, what they had, the liar doesn't feel guilty for breaking it off themselves. So she says she's with her 2 friends, tears running down her face, and she don't want y'all to get it twisted. She's not mad, like crying over sadness, like I'm heartbroken. She's like angry. You ever get like, when you cry out of frustration? I do that. I cry when I'm frustrated. And I just want to quote her. I don't want people to misunderstand why I was crying. I wasn't crying because, oh, I'm heartbroken. No, LOL. I said yes to being his girlfriend, dating him because why not? And trying Japan's way of dating. I was crying because I realized just how cruel people can be instead of having answered my message with we're done or any other message of yes, this thing is over. It goes into this elaborate lie instead. Had he been straightforward, I would have been like, all right, cool, peace, my dude, with no feelings of guilt. But for that to be used and for this whole lie to be spun into him being unconscious for me to not wait for him was so fucking ridiculous. So you must be wondering how I was so sure that this was a lie just on my friend's word alone. Well, that's not the case. This story isn't done yet, LOL. So she said that her friends, they helped her through stuff like this before, so they were helping her calm down and trying to keep her calm for work. So then she asked her friend, hey, can you check his Instagram? Because when I type it in, I'm not seeing it. So the friend checks it, types it in, she sees his account immediately. So then she has a second account too. And she's like, okay, well, let me check with my second account that he doesn't know about. She checks with that second account and she easily finds his account. So yeah, he blocked her.
He needs some milk.
But for some reason, he didn't block her online yet. So then this is something that she, I think is kind of important for you guys to hear from her directly. I didn't have much time to further snoop, so I went to teach my 3 lessons. By this time, I went from feeling hurt over an awful lie about him being unconscious to being mad about it because why can't Japanese men be straightforward? It's the most frustrating thing. I realized later on in using Tinder and meeting people outside of Tinder, the Japanese culture is very passive aggressive. Many people think Japanese people are very polite. Sure, people here can be really nice, but at large, societal reality is that they are very passive aggressive and indirect. So like she finishes work, she goes home and everything, she's on the bus and she has a thought, does he have Twitter? So she types in what his Instagram name is on Twitter and it's like a little bit different. So she found him, she found his account and everything. And if he was supposedly unconscious for these past few days, why was he tweeting? Yeah, she found tweets on the days he was supposed to be passed out and unconscious in the hospital. Was his sister tweeting for him too? So she finally gets home and she has proof, like concrete proof that he was absolutely lying. Anyway, I got home and called my dad and stepmom and told them, and my dad says something interesting to me. He told me that if I had been back home, I wouldn't have even sent the messages if I saw that they were being left on read the first time. My stepmom told me that a guy did the same thing to her once and she learned her lesson. She said that she learned people can be cruel, but so can their karma. She said she also never allowed that to ever happen to her again. She told me that this can be the reality of dating sometimes, but build yourself up and learn from it. My mom called him an asshole and said he should be careful before he ends up speaking the unconsciousness into existence. 2 days gone by. I've always had a problem of learning that I don't need to say my piece to someone in order to have the situation not plague my mind. And this time was no different. On February 17th, I sent him a message. I won't send the screenshot because it's long and no one has the time to read that LOL, but I'll summarize it. I told him he was a disgusting coward for choosing to lie and that I'm happy I didn't get to know him further. I also told him I hope he doesn't do that to someone else and just to say the truth. The last thing I told him was to be careful of lies you speak because you can speak things into becoming reality. After that, I blocked him. And that's why in all the screenshots at the bottom it says blocked. LOL, it took about a week and a half for my mind to completely stop thinking about the situation and to really process that men will say the most cruel lies to try and keep you in a situation or to have you leave because they're too coward to say it.
Congratulations, you played yourself.
So with those, I silenced any doubts I had in my mind. My flabber was truly gasted. I love flabbergasted. Flabber truly gasted at the fact that he lied and possibly pretended to be his own sister, saying he was unconscious. I hope everyone won't judge me too hard in the comments. I'm not sure I'll even read them, LOL, but thanks girl for telling my story. It can be hard sometimes to distinguish between someone needing space to process something happening to them versus it being a lack of interest. Trust your intuition because it's usually right. I can laugh now and look back at it And as I said, I've met my now boyfriend of 5 months on Tinder and it's been the best experience. We become official a month after our first date. It's not impossible, but we know when something is worth our time and when it isn't. Weirdo wasn't worth the time, and I deep down knew that and went along anyway. We shouldn't waste our time when we know it's not worth it. But we also shouldn't shy away from something that we feel is worth it. I've learned from this situation last year and I've taken my lessons and moved on. Thanks again for reading all of this, and I hope it's entertaining to your audience. So yeah, that is the story time, guys. It turned into a K-drama in Japan, a J-drama. Do they have J-dramas? Tell me what you guys think in the comments below. Thanks for watching. If you did, remember to like, comment, share, and subscribe, and I will see you guys next time. Annyeong.